This conference will now be recorded.
Hello guys, it's Mahesh Kumar once again. And yesterday we have just talking about some AWS basic fundamentals. We have discussed how can we configure the different data centers in different locations, and we have just talking about some core services of AWS, and we have just talking about how what are the basic and different type of enterprises support, pricing, costing, each and everything. But today is a little different session. Today we are just talking about development operations, because it is also a part of the AWS, because AWS have variety of certifications. If you just check on the website, development operations also it's a part of the AWS. So today we are just going to talking about some development operations and how effectively we can work on the enterprise environment. So before we going to introduce the AWS, how can it is used in the AWS environment, we would like to understand the development operations all about. What is the role of AWS in development operations? How can we use effectively in development operations? What is the requirement of development operations? Okay, and where we need to apply all sort of things. So let's get started. Wait a second. Yes. So this is the traditional waterfall model. It is we are using some time ago. There's a requirement and gathering and analysis sort of things. The waterfall model is basically software SDLC sort of models. So before any coding of the website or development or any code, but first of all we have to define a predefined model, which type of models we have to use, and how can we work on this model. So this is a waterfall model is one of the SDLC model. So first of all, any company, any enterprise, first of all, requirement analysis, they will going to do it. What type of code we required, what type of languages we need to define, what type of operations we need to work on it, what type of servers we required, what type of website, static website, dynamic website, hosting website. So there are a number of things we have to requirement analysis we need to do done it. The second phase is basically we need to understand the designing part, what type of design of your website development, and what type of code we need to write it down, and where we have to implement, what type of your networking operation sort of things. So this is a number of things we have to design. Then we have to implement the code, whatever the code will be, write down, and what type of servers, what type of configuration of the servers, what type of GPU, CPU utilizations, memory, everything we need to be find out as an operation sort of things. And then the testing the code on the different servers and different requirement as per your common requirement. Then if your code is working fine, absolutely, then we deploy the code into in the production environment. And then if there is support and if there any maintenance requirement sort of things, then the maintenance and support and monitoring sort of things is coming into the pictures. So this is the waterfall model. It was used earlier, and today the picture is a little different. We are into the wait a second. Yes, it is coming. So this is the second thing, agile and development operations is all about. We have just coming to this. I have some queries from this one of the person. Wait a second here. Thanks. Wait a second. Yes, so definitely we will just provide you presenter sometime later, but because this is the sessions of some of the candidates, so I would like to provide you a chance sometime later on. So this is what daily the agile and development operation sort of things. So the waterfall model comes to the picture, and then we have just what agile and development operations. So agile and the scrum, the sprint, this is the methodology, this is the framework sort of things. So this is the best practices you can do it. But the matter of fact that the development operation is all about what best practices you can do it. You can just test the code, you can just run run on different environment sort of things, and then you can just work on different places. So the more and more practical sort of things is the development operations, and agile and scrum and sprint is all about more into the development sort of things. What type of code, what type of development we need to do it. So this is the management sort of things, agile scrum. But the development operation is more about the coding, more about the practical things. So that is the requirement of development operations at the same time. So the blame game is coming because there's two different teams. The development operations, if you know the name of this particular session, is development operations. So the development team, and this is the operations team. And the development team is basically the coders, the writing the code of the particular website or different things. So they have the no latency systems, tool troublesome, and need automations. So that sort of things here, they are just facing some issues. And this is the operations team, and they have the monitoring is tedious. They are just monitoring all the time, 24/7, and they are the number of bugs is coming into the coding. They will just check it out, and the errors in production environment. So number of things they are facing, operations, and the number of things are facing issues in the development operations at the same time. So so what happened, because these are the two different department it was working before, but right now they are the collaborations between the two environments same time, and the transparency what provided at the same time to the two both the departments, and they are working together to providing the code and operations at the same time working. So this is a development team is creating a code, and then they are tested. The operation team is tested, and this is providing the feedback to the development team. Then what type of what code they have to write down, and what are the bugs, and what they need to fix it. And then at the same time, the operation team is providing the the configurations sort of things and everything, whatever the requirement of the development team. So the both teams are working together is to provide your release going to the same time, because the right now the market is is very all the releases coming have to be sent as per the timing. So because in the competition environment, you need to send your releases on the time, and different changes is coming to your software. So it is very important for any enterprise company to going for the development operation at the same time, and then the fixes the issues and fixes the bugs every time, and then provide the configuration sort of things, and the working together and transparency sort of environment into the organizations, and they work smoothly. So the $1 million question is all about what is DevOps. DevOps is a software methodology which involves continuous development, continuous testing, and continuous integrations, continuous deployment, and continuous monitoring throughout its deployment life cycles. So the matter of fact that the development team and the operations teams are working together closely with each other in the same department, same locations, and whatever the bugs from the development teams, the operations team will help you out at the same time. And what type of configurations, what type of environment required by the development teams, they will they will provide to the development team, and they are testing the code same time, and different tools and techniques and skills are working together. So this is the beauty about this development operations. The two different departments are working closely, and providing the release on time, and facing the competitions in the markets. So that is the most important scenario. So and again, the development operations methodology we are just talking about. So first thing is idea, feature, bugs, and enhancements. So that it is deployment has to be done in the production environment, and the production environment sending the in the productions all the code, and then the customers is sending the feedback to the customer same time, and and the same feedback is going to the development coders same time. Then they will just change their codes, change their configuration, change their environment, and then they will just fix the bugs at same time, and then they will deploy again. So the things are working to as closely as you just look in this slide, and the developers are working on the coding part, and then they are just build the application same time, and the quality assurance team is checking the what type of the code, and any bugs is coming, and how can we reduce the bugs into the application sort of things, and provide the quality sort of things, and integrations, their implementations, and the same time, and then changes requirement, all sort of things is working, and user acceptance test, and production server. So these are the things are working closely into this development methodology, and the feedback is very important, because you know what, once you release your product, release your website or product to the you know what market, and there are number of things are you know what changes we need to do it. So the feedback, once the feedback coming from the customer, and then you need to modify the things as per the requirement. So what's the benefits of the DevOps? The benefit of the DevOps is basically the cross team collaborations, because I already discussed that in the older times, the different the development team have different team, and the operation team have different, and they have the different tasks, different KRS, different rules, and there is no transparency. Nothing is happened. That's why the bugs and others is coming more and more. So due to this development operations, both teams are working together closely. They have the same skill set, they have the same environments, they are working together, and you know what, resolve the issues to each others. And that is all about the collaborations with the same thing. The agility is also important, as any changes requirement, as the implementation requirement, as any more changes. So this is agility comes to the picture. And the reliability, because customers and the client and the customers, they are reliable to each others, because whenever the feedback coming from the customer and the client is you know what providing the solutions at the same times with their feedback things. And there's a continuous delivery as also important cases there: development, build, test, and deploy, and releases. So all things are working together closely to you know what providing the things on time. And code is deployed 30 times more frequently. So you know what, your because you have you know what provide some sort of skills. You are just working on the different kind of tools. So you know what, your code is developed in 30 times more frequently, because you don't need to create the environment, because this is a serverless architectures coming to the picture in the AWS and the Azure sort of thing. So that you have create your build, and then you can just you know what test in the different environment of serverless architectures and the different tools, which we're talking about later on in the slides. And 50% fewer failures in the new releases. So different you know what first of all, in the previous times, you know what, we required some deployment tools. We required some you know what, how can we test? We have to prepare some the environment where we have to you know what testing the code, testing the website, as everything. So once the development comes to the pictures, the 50% of the failures you know what is available same times. So this is the development toolkit which we is talking about. So this is the first phase of the particular, and is any development is development operations. So the planning phase. In the planning phase is basically is the plan and code, and this plan and code is basically used by the GitHub. This is a version controlling sort of things. Suppose you just development a website, and this is a code version 1.1 is available, and then you have just make some modifications into your code, and then the version 1.2 is available, right? And the second thing is Jira it's also you know what this tool is basically used to you know what uh, 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 you know what are the bugs into your applications, and you have to just create a ticket, and then the development teams are working, and you have to just monitor the timing sort of things. So that's this. So this is all about the planning, coding sort of things. And the second phase is a build. So you have different tools. Maven is also available, Gather is available, and different tools and techniques are available, skills are available to you know what uh, build your you know what codes in different environments, right? And then you have different testing environments is available, so Selenium and Gradle and JUnit. So you can just the Selenium is basically it is used for you know what web applications, where you have to you know what test the what type of code is running on your website, and how the pages are looks like, and different the codes and different skills you can just work on the test environment. And this is all things I integrated with the Jenkins is also a tool to integrate with all the you know what planning, code, build, and test, and the deployment, and operate and monitor at the same time. And if we are talking about the deployment, so we have this Docker is one of the tools which is used for you know what deployment of your you know what different environment, like the operating system environment. Suppose you create a applications which is used, which is you know what works on the Linux environment. So you but you are using the Windows environment. So you can just create a Docker into the Windows environment, and you have to create images over the Linux images, and you can just test your code onto the Linux environment. So the Docker is providing the facility to testing your environment in different variant of your systems. And Puppet, and this is the configuration management tools. JF and Stack and Ansible, these are the configuration management tools. So you can change your configurations at the same time, and then you can just check what type of code is generated. So this is before you deploy to the productions, implement in the productions, you have to just test your code. And these are some tools, tools and techniques and skills are using at the same time. Then which is talking about the operate at the same sort of things. And once your code is ready, your website is ready, then you have to just take a closer look on the monitors sort of things. So the Splunk is an operational excellence tool. It is used to providing your servers logs at the same times, and what type of performance of the servers, what is any failure of the servers, is any CPU utilization of the things, and is there any latency over the network. So this sort of information is provided by the different Splunk, Nagios, and Slack. So that is all about the development toolkit, but they are not used the, the it is depend on the company what type of tools and techniques they are using it, because it is because they are licensed software. Some of the tools are open source tools, like Jenkins is open source tools, Git is open source tools, and more often, because some of the tools, this is Splunk is licensed sort of tools, and the Chief, Puppet, these are the licensed version tools. So you have to take care about what type of tools and what of techniques, what we're going to find out and what we're going to achieve. So these sort of things you need to plan first of all before you're going to going for the development operation sort of things. So what is a continuous integrations? It is also important part. First of all, that the code does the development operations, create a code, and then they are just sending the build. They will just create a build, and then the build is going to testing. And after the testing, it is the deployment on the production. So all things are these things are we can do on the Jenkins environment same times. And in the Jenkins environment, we have different tools we can used for just like that. We have to test the environments, so we have to go for the Docker same time. If you have to just need to test the web applications, then you going for the Selenium environment, right? If you're going to change the country version controlling sort of things, then you have to go some different tools. Okay, so it is depend on the organization what type of tools and techniques they are using in different use cases. It's depend on the different companies and different use cases. So the continuous integrations tools is basically GitLab CI, CodeShape, and Bamboo, and Travis CI, and TamCity, and Jenkins. So these are the continuous integrations tools, because all things are working together and all things are working at the same time. So the Jenkins is the most important tool, is open source tools, and everyone can use. You can use every company. Most of the companies are using the Jenkins in the environment, just because of it is a open source tool, and it was in the environment sort of things. You can just going for it, and you test the code at the same time, and then you can just the version controlling sort of things it is doing. Suppose you are just opening creating a website, and you're just launching the website same time, and the first of all you have to test the environment. If your test is failed, then it is automatically send an email to your development operations that that was the reason your website is failed. So this sort of things is doing in the Jenkins. So these are the different tools and techniques. You need to learn all sort of things. Then we just talking about some CI tools. Jenkins versus Bamboo versus Travis CI. So Jenkins is open source tools, as I already discussed about it. And the multiple plugin support, okay, and continuity support, and support all repositories. So different repositories we need to create into the Jenkins environment, and then we have to just testing the environment. We have to just once your environment is tested, then it is the code is sending the push to the production environment same times. So all things we can work on the Jenkins environment. And Bamboo is not an open source and extensive plugins, and use smaller communities supports all repositories. So it is also a depository tools, and we can just test the code and everything, so we can do it. An open source tool in a few plugins available, no community support, and supports only GitHub. So this is the Travis CI and the Bamboo and the Jenkins. So most of the companies are believe in the open source sort of tools. So you can just use the Jenkins and the Travis CI, and if your company is not allowed for the open source, then you can just Bamboo is also a great tool to use it. Uh, so what is continuous deployment? Continuous deployment is a continuous integration of a software development practice in which you build and test software every time a developer pushes code to the applications. So first of all, you have team, and you are just build applications. You can just build the application sort of things, and then you have to then it is sending to your configuration items like servers. You have to send it, and then the testing is happened, and some if any bugs find out, then the developers are working together, and the automatically sending your deployment on the production environments. So this sort of things is doing the Jenkins environment. We are just going to get step by step. So these are the continuous deployment tools. It's basically Puppet, Docker, Salt Stack, Chief, and Ansible, where we can create an environment. This is a configuration management tools and this sort of things. So it just depend on the company to company what type of tools they are using it, and why we going to choose a particular tools, and what is the benefit of the tool, and the other pros and cons of each and every tools. So this is a CI/CD pipeline. First of all, the version control is happened. Okay, suppose you already launched your website. Okay, and the version is 1.1.2, and you have just going for your upgradation of your website, or changes some of the website. So you have to going for the version is already be changed 1.1.3, and then first of all the version control, and then you have to just build the website and the unit the testing same time, and then you have to deploy the code same time into this environment, and then the automatic testing is you have to build at the same time into this, and that deploy to production. So these things are happen, and if any bugs has happened, it's then feedback coming to the client, and then you have to just make some changes over there. Then the CI/CD pipeline in a minute. So first of all, the code is write down by the developers same time, web development team, and then the code is commit same time, and then the CI pipeline. First of all, the test build the code, and then the unit testing is doing it here, and the integration testing is done by the different tools, and then it is going to the review for the different coders, and the staging, what type of staging we have to run in doing it, and then it is sending the code to the production environment same time. So is any bugs, is any fixes, then the code is again going to the code developer same time, and then they will just code again, and then after that they commit. So the testing is very important, and the integrations testing and the environment, everything's working together to provide the release on time. So this is the deploying applications on host versus VM. So this is the old way of application on a host. So this is the kernel, this is libraries, this is some applications are working in the old times, but this is a new way of deployment containers, because if you're talking about if you work on the Docker side, you easily understand this, because you have a Docker is stand, and then you can provide the OS related conditions you can just provide the same time. So the applications, the libraries, and everything you will just find out into the kernel environment, and very easy to deployment on the container side, because you just find the environment in a single window, a different environment for the testing the applications. So we just talking about some Docker file. We built a Docker image, and that image contains all the project code, and you can run that image to create as many Docker containers as you want, and then this image can be uploaded on the Docker Hub. From Docker Hub, anyone can pull the image and build a container sort of things. So this is the Docker requirement basically, because you can just deploy any sort of code into a different environment like Unix servers, CentOS server, Ubuntu servers, and there is no dependency over the operating system side, and the different configurations like this, the RAM. This is we can change the CPU environment as well. Same. So those sort of things you can just test in a single software from the Docker. Then we're just talking about some system monitoring tools. So system monitoring tools is of any system errors, low memory and unreachable servers, etc. before any have any negative impact on your business productivity. So because the monitoring also very important, because everything's working on a different platform, different software. So once your code is going to the production environment, then you need to check your production servers production, what things are going on. Is there any reachable, is there any low latency, low memory, unreachable of the servers. So that sort of things you just configure on the Zabbix side. You can just configure the negus on your environment, and the groundwork you can just also you can work on it. And this is the open is one of the tools you can use it. So most of the companies are using going for the open source of tools. So you can just going for the Zabbix sort of environment, so that you can just configure the different the IP addresses of the particular servers, and is there any memory dump is going on, is there any latency of your network, is there any low memory sort of thing. So you can just find out each and everything from this particular tools. So these are the some Jenkins build, or the build is looks like. So you can just configure on the AWS environment. Once we're going for the practical things, we will just doing all sort of stuffs. And this is also about to Jenkins. After the deployment, this is a page is coming, and then you can just doing all sort of things. So that's the end of this particular slide. So is there any questions from your side? Anybody? Or let's move to the second slide. So I have another slide for you, friends. This is the package. So we're just talking about into the slide as AWS use cases in development operations. Uh, so development operations is overview just talking about into this, how the AWS is combined with the AWS environments. So DevOps is the culture, philosophies and practices plus tools, and help organizations to deliver applications and services in high velocity, faster product improvement sort of things is doing in the AWS environment. And development plus operations is equal to DevOps. So the development is working together and the operations are working together same time, and this is the DevOps is just looks like same time. So what is the goal of the DevOps? The DevOps goal is a continuous delivery model with this characteristics. So secure, we require a secure secure codes. We require a stable code. We require some reliability with different teams and different codes, and repeatables and resilient. We can just working on it. So what is the benefit of this DevOps? A continuous delivery model with these characteristics. So we require a high speed of different codes we can development. We have same time development is going on, same time testing is going on, same time different environment we are just testing it in, and then we are just deployment sort of things is going on. and there's a rapid delivery. We can just provide this delivery in the serverless architecture of the AWS Azure. We can test in an environment in a few minutes. And reliability, it should be reliable sort of things, because you don't need to create a servers for the same, because you can just run your code in different services in the feature in the AWS, which we're talking about later on the slides. And the scalable environment, we can just reduce, and we can increase same times as per the requirement. Improved collaborations, we can just improve the collaborations with different teams. And the security is also important concern, so you can test the environment in a security concern security way. And then the DevOps culture is remove barrier between the DevOps plus operations. So work together to increase development productivity and operations reliability. So development and operations collaborations, basically you have to provide a feedback, automations, and build up quality in shared responsibility, no silos, automation terms, and this things coming picture, because the feedback and the automations and the build quality in. So these are the shared responsibility between the DevOps team and the operations teams. They are working closely with each other, and to provide a delivery on time. And they are testing the things, and they will just say, once the the operations team is providing the environment, the different servers, the configurations, RAM, each and everything to the development team, and they will just write the code, and then they will just the quality team is testing the same time. And then if any bugs and it fixes requirement, then they all provide a feedback to the development team, and the development team is right, and same time they are just fix the bugs at the same time. So why AWS for DevOps? That AWS provides a set of flexible services designed to enable companies to more rapidly and reliably build or deliver products using AWS and DevOps practices. These services simplify provisioning and managing infrastructures, deploying applications, code, automating software releases processes, and monitoring your application and infrastructure performance. So these are some benefits. Great started faster, built for scale, programmables, pay-as-you-go features, and secure. It's the automation sort of things we can just do doing into the AWS environment. So AWS chain is basically, we have version controls. So we have the tools available, AWS CodeCommit, so you can just version controlling, you can just doing into the AWS environment. Continuous integration and continuous delivery, so you have different tools and techniques are available same time. AWS CodePipeline, AWS CodeBuild, and AWS CodeDeploy, and AWS CodeStar, and microservices. You have the Amazon Elastic Container Services, and AWS Lambda is available. Platform as a service, then AWS Elastic Basic is available. Infrastructure as a code, AWS Code Formations, AWS Operations Works, AWS System Managers. And if you recommend monitoring of the different codes, and then you have the Amazon CloudWatch, CloudTrail, and AWS Config, and AWS X-Ray. So these are some tools and techniques are available into the AWS environment, so that your operations and your development are working together in the AWS environment. Then we're just going for the component of the DevOps practices. So automate every phase or continuous integrations. We just talking about in the previous slides. The continuous integrations are working together, and the continuous delivery, the same time the delivery is also working, and then the continuous monitoring and improvement. Manage infrastructure as a code. So this is the the code. Your code is working like infrastructure as a code in your environment, and then you can work on the development operations. So continuous integrations basically it deals with the code, and then the build, and then you test your code at the same time. There's a development operations team, and where the developers write the code, and then they will send the code to the Jenkins environment. Then the build is coming, and then the code, the testing environment, the testing the code. Sometimes Selenium, you can just use it to test the code on the website, and what type of issues has happened. And if you just in open environment on the Docker side, you can just check the different environment analysis on the particular code, and then whether it is working fine or not. So this things are working on the continuous integration things. And once we are just talking about the continuous delivery, so the provision and then deploy and monitor support changes are automatically prepared for the release to productions, deploying all code changes to a testing environment and or the productions environment after the build stage. So the developers will always have a deployment ready build artifact that has passed through a standardized test processes. So you know what, once you know what a condition introduction has been done, then you have to, you know, continuous delivery, you need to done it. So first of all, what type of provisions you have to just configure for from the management type, what type of provision you have done it, then what type of development you required, and then you can just, you know what, monitor the things whatever you know what providing in the in production environment. So you can just monitor, is there any issues happen with your servers, your memory sort of utilizations, your CPU utilization sort of things, or any network latency sort of things. So you can just fix the bugs at the same time. So all things are working together, continuous CI and CD are working together, you know what to you know what development sort of things, and then you can just operationally same times. So this is the, you know what, continuous delivery, same time automate, build and test, and push code to non-production environment and deploy it to the productions. So automatic or with the manual sort of thing. So this is the repository and the package builders, package is done, and this is the things that happen. So you can just doing the step by step. The first is commit to a central repository, and then, you know what, going to the full code, and then it is going to the distributed boards and test the parallel, and then it has happened, then it's sent to report. So this is, you know what, the architecture of your configuration and delivery sort of things. So you can just work on it. Then the CI/CD are just, you know what, the committed continuous code integration and the source center code, and this is the build is happening, and the what type of staging things you are going to decide. And then if you're working, testing, deployment, everything's happened, then you can just move to the production environment. Then we're just talking about the continuous monitoring and improvement. So there's a development operation metrics, change volumes, you can just change the volume, deployment frequencies, lead time from development to deployment, percentage of failed deployment, and availability, customer ticket volumes, and percentage change in the user volume. So these sort of things, the development operations metrics, they are just, you know what, working closely with this availability and the percentage of the failed deployment, what type of how the deployments are failed, and deployment of the frequency, how many number of times we can deploy the, you know what, the code, and what type of volumes we can use it. So cost region right sort of things, and customer ticket volume, what type of ticket is coming, is how many number of bugs are coming at the same time. So the number of things are coming into the DevOps metrics. And if you're talking about the application performance metrics, so that's the change volumes and monitor application performances, and scale resources up to the down and needed, and communicate performance bottlenecks under utilize resources in the development team. So the application performance metrics are different, and the development operations are metrics are different. And the infrastructure as a code, because these sort of codes are working, and then these are different you know what, tools and techniques are available, so you can just use as per your required things. So this is the RDS, this is, you know what, the database of the AWS, it is working, and the elastic load balancing. So we can just, you know what, providing the 5-6 servers, and then for the elastic load balancing, if any instance goes down, then you can then you know what, different sort of, you know what, application load balancer you can configure it on the different images. Servers are different, media servers are different, and web servers query are different, and MSQL servers queries related queries are coming through a different sort of things. So you can just you know what, providing a application load balancer same time of the application load balancers same time, and the cloud formations and Ansible, Puppet, Chief, these are the configuration management tools, you can use it. And these are the some tools of the AWS, the AWS CodeCommit, AWS CodeBuild, AWS CodeDeploy, AWS Config, AWS Confirm, Cloud Formations, at Amazon CloudWatch, AWS Lambda, AWS CodeStar, AWS Managers, CloudTrail, AWS Pipeline. So these are the tools where you can use to, you know what, development and operations on the AWS side. Then
Yeah,
the
Mahesh,
deployment strategies. Yes, please.
can you go to slide 17?
Yes.
Can you go to slide 17? 17 slide, last slide. Yeah, this one.
Okay. Okay.
To use these tools. Yeah.
These are the features. these are the features of AWS. So for the development, for the operation sort of things, so you can just AWS CodeCommit, version control sort of things, the AWS CodeBuild, you build the code at the same time, AWS code deployment things, and AWS config. So these are what are the configurations or
Yeah,
you
my
can do.
question is to use these services, we need to pay AWS.
But then,
I'm saying to use these services, AWS services, we need to pay or it's a free.
no, it's a paid services. It's a paid. Some of the paid services, some of the the free services. So most of the
Okay,
services are paid.
okay.
So once you're going for the AWS console, and then going with the pricing calculator, and you just find write down the features name, and then you just find out the costing of the particular feature, what type of costing is all about. So different cost, different features available. So as per the requirement of the company in the production, so you can just use the code same times. So AWS, it's just like that. One example is AWS Cloud9 has number of different logs is coming off your server. So the number of 1000 or nearby 1000 1 lakh sort of logs are free, and after that you have to pay for it. So it is depend on the what type of service you're using it, what type of pricing, what type of things are you have to providing to the costing to the AWS team. So it depends on the features, and it just changes day by day. So you can just take a look on the what current scenarios, what type of pricing and costing is all about. And then we just going for further into this deployment strategy. So we can just deploy all sort of things in different ways. So this is the the development operations strategy. So this is the version controlling sort of things, so version 1.1. And if you have the coders are developed a code, and then the version 1.2 is coming into the we need to deploy into the environment. Then first of all, what things is happening here, in place update your applications on existing instances rather than replacing with the new instances. So these things happen because update your applications, right? Because you're just changing the the versioning things. So instead of replacing your hardware, your licensing, your instances, you have to just replace your applications sort of things. And then the second thing is coming to the pictures, the versioning also changes each and every time. So rolling updates. So if the if you just release the version which is not effectively working effectively, then you have to roll back the update same time. So gradually roll out updates to your applications into some portion of the production fleet. So if the versioning, you can just do it, but if the version is not comfortable, if it is not working fine in the test environment, you have to you roll back your plans to the previous versions, like 1.1 version. Then the third phase is basically blue-green sort of things, that gradually replace existing instances blue with instances running with the new green version. So if you're okay with the versioning sort of things, so suppose your code is working fine in the testing environment, then it's a green and things are available same time. That and black sort of things, instant cutover from the current system to the new systems after the new system is created and verified. So, suppose you have just created a version, and once upload your version to the production environment and the test environment sort of things, and then the code are not working at the same time. So you have just confused that what needs to be done. Do we need to send this particular in the production environment, or not send to the production environment? So we have this red and black sort of things. And then the immutable, the stand up a new infrastructures with the new application version. So you can also go for the new application version 1.2. If you are it is working fine, then you can just going for the version controlling change at the same time. So yeah, you can use different tools and techniques skills for the versioning control in environment. Like you can use Puppet, Chef, Ansible sort of things. You can just choose what type of versioning things you can do it. And you can also use either Jenkins. If you're versioning, suppose you have write a code, or okay, and then you have to be going for upgradation of your code. Then you need to if your code is filled, in the test environment, then that automatically Jenkins, not releasing, not sending the what code to the, not sending the push to the code to the deployment environment. It is sending the code to the developer team, and they send an email to your coders that this is the problem that's been found out, and the same time the rollback plan is coming to the picture same time. So these things are happen automatically, is automation way, that's called, it is a development operations sort of things. So we are just more into the depth of this, what type of things we can do into the AWS environment for this DevOps. So this is, we are just talking about the AWS CodeDeploy, AWS Elastic Benchmark, AWS Ops Works stacks. So this is the rapid deployment, low cost, minimal downtime, perform application updates on live Amazon EC2 instances, multiple tools available, CodeDeploy, push updates on all the instances, right? So this is the use cases of the AWS CodeDeploy, is sending the push to the updates to all the instances at the same time. AWS Elastic Benchmark to deploy new version to all instances simultaneously. So Elastic Benchmark, sending the updates, the new version to all the instances simultaneously. AWS also works stack to update all apps in the stack. So all the applications, whatever you build applications, different builds are available. So this is operation works is available for the same times. All sort of works. So rolling updates benefit over the in place, so zero downtime, so time to deploy a little more in place, easier risk mitigations, multiple tools and options available. So this is our AWS CodeDeploy, AWS Elastic Benchmark rolling back. If your code is not working fine, then you roll back. So this is a serverless architectures. Both things are available. Serverless architectures. You not need to create any type of servers. You have built available. You just push into the AWS Elastic Benchmark, and then you can just test your environment whether it is working fine or not fine. If it is not fine, then you just roll back your plans again and just fix the bugs, and then you can try again with your build. Okay, and then you just the plan is, this is application load balancer, that is it is working over here. If it is not working, then it is providing that signals to your instances same time. Then the blue green, we already talked about the blue green sort of things. Deployment things has happened. DNS, load balancer, Amazon EC2, auto scaling. These are working together to each other's, and the AWS prospects we just talking about. So so we just going for this practical environment sometime later. Then we just checking what type of deployment things we can just doing into the DevOps environment. So this is another part of the story. Because first of all, we have to create a root 53 DNS environment into the AWS environment. Then we have to create an endpoint for the security purpose. Then we have choose the region, what type of regions, which specific locations we need to going for it, and then we have to decide what type of what zones available, different zones, and then we have one side data center, this is another data centers, and we have to deploy the AWS Elastic Benchmark application same time, so that deploy applications to the different regions at the same time. And we can also create a application load balancer. HTTPS request is coming. Okay, it is depend on what type of load balancer you are configured. It is internal. One is internal, and another one is a public, and so what type of public load balancer you have applied, and this is the application load balancer, or is the classic load balancer. It is the use cases as per your requirement, and then you can just map with this your instances same time, and then instances will be mapped with the Oracle DB or Amazon Elastic Cache. So this is the what sort of the practical things when we are once we are working, so that you can easily understand. But this is the architecture you need to understand what type of queries coming from, and where we need to create a regions, and what type of things is happened actually. Then this is zero downtime. The same thing is again the rollback. This is what type of things are working with cloud formations, and the Elastic Benchmark or deploy AWS works. This is things happen. So there's a cost consideration. How many instances do you need to replace? So which is also important case of what type of instances, what type of applications, what type of code do we require, what type of instances. So so you need to be well prepared before you're going to choose instances. How many times per day you are deploying changes. So it is also important case that how many number of times you need to deploy your changes. The cost of blue and green is fairly low, and the cost of red, black immutable are expensive, and cost is minimizes in place of upgrade. So matter of fact that though you have to just understand the cost considerations, because if you're going for the serverless architectures, if you're going for the AWS sort of things, if you're going for some different tools, like we are just talking about Ansible, Puppet, Chief, Ansible, and this sort of tools. So you have to choice and the tools and techniques which you're using outside open source sort of things, and you can just going for the AWS environment. So it's depend on you what type of things, what type of environment of your company, and what type of what company providing the solutions to you at the same time. So we're just talking about some developer CI/CD tools and techniques. So this is the developer tools which we just talking about into the later on the slides. AWS Cloud9, AWS CodeCommit, AWS CodeBuild, AWS CodeDeploy, AWS CodePipeline, AWS CodeStar. So what is all about? We just take a look. So AWS Cloud9 is a cloud-based integrated development environment IDE that lets you write and run and debug your code with just a browser. It includes a code editor, debugger, and terminal. So you can say that it's a browser for things, and you can just deploy your code and monitor your code, and you're testing your code in the environment sort of things. Suppose your company using the Jenkins other side, and you can also use the AWS Cloud9 as, so you can just compare the both things together working. So okay. The AWS CodeCommit is basically it's a highly scalable managed source control service that hosts private Git repositories. So if you're just using for the Git Git for the repository, so you can also use the AWS CodeCommit. So you have options available, whether you going for the GitHub, or whether you going for the AWS environment, AWS CodeCommit. So these are the same things, but you have to use in different environment as per your requirement. Then another tool of AWS CodeBuild is AWS CodeBuild is a service that compiles source code, runs tests, and produce software packages, and they are ready to deploy. With CodeBuild, you don't need to provision, manage, and scale your own build server. So it is also a configuration management tool. So you can say that once your build is ready and ready to deployment, and then you can use it. AWS CodeBuild. So we can say that just like that, if you're using into the Jenkins environment, whether your code is absolutely working fine, then it is going for the automatically sent to the production environment. So you can use the AWS CodeBuild. What if your code is working fine, then it is sending to the production environment same times. So you can just compare the two things. Then the AWS CodeDeploy. AWS CodeDeploy is a service that automates the applications deployments to a variety of compute services, including Amazon EC2, AWS Fargate, AWS Lambda, and so on instances. So you can just automatically deployment of your codes. You can use it AWS Code Deployment tool. Then the AWS CodePipeline. It is a continuous delivery service that helps automate your release pipelines for fast and reliable application and infrastructure updates. CodePipeline automates the build, test, and deploy phases of your release process, and every time there is a code change and based on the release and type. So we can say that it is you can just compare the AWS CodePipeline with your Chief and Puppet. It's a configuration management tool, so you can just if your code is ready, and then you can just going for the reliable applications on sort of things, you can just doing into this workflow integrations, build is ready, custom plugins. So everything what you will find out in the AWS environment. And the last one is AWS CodeStar. So you quickly develop, build, and deploy applications on the AWS environment. So it provides a unified user interface, enabling you to easily manage your software deployment activities. So just like your we can say that Jenkins sort of tools you can use this AWS CodeStar, so that it is a fully develop and develop and build and deploy all the applications, just like that we are using in the Selenium. Those sort of things you can just testing the applications sort of things in the web environment. So you can use the AWS CodeStar at the same time for the AWS website development sort of things. Okay, so that's the end of the session for today. So we have just checked today about what is development operations, how can we use it, what type of tools and technical skills, why the AWS and development operation teams and operation teams are working together, and how, and we have compared about the AWS. AWS have different services for the different DevOps and operations tools. So you can use it the open source tools, and if you are using all sort of tools and techniques into the AWS environment as well. So we are just going to wrap up this class. Thank you for trying. So any questions, you can just put me on my YouTube channel, and also you can just send me on my uh, mail ID, which I already shared with you. And send me if you have any queries, then you can just send to me over my WhatsApp. Okay. Thank you very much for your nice.
Thank you, Mahesh.
Thank you. Adios,